we need our receipts before the season gets started. So we got to make our predictions right now for ACC basketball. I'll set up the categories. Dennis, you go first. I'll go next. I promise all mine are written down, so no copying, no looking at each other's paper. ACC basketball, surprise team of the year. Who do you have?
Virginia.
This is going to be an hilarious continue.
Okay, I think Virginia, just because I think the talent that they brought in it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Tony Bennett not being there, it's like, all right, it's going to put on Ron Sanchez. Like, all right, how are you going to handle in-game situations? But I think the talent's still there. I think teams might be overlooking them because Tony Bennett's no longer with them. So Virginia.
My surprise team of the year is Georgia Tech.
Okay.
They're
right there up there on my list.
14th betting favorite to win the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Bayan Dongo, their sophomore, I'm looking to make a big jump. And Damon Stoudemire, their coach, can pull off an upset. He proved that last year against UNC and Duke, 2 top 10 teams that they knocked off. Just have to be better on the rest of the schedule.
Georgia Tech had some big wins last season, like beating some of the high-end teams in the ACC. Duke, UNC, they can compete. It's about consistency with them.
ACC most disappointing team of the year. Who do you got?
Disappointing team of the year? I think it might be NC State.
Interesting.
I think it might be NC State. I still think they're going to be a tournament team. Do not get me wrong, but I don't think they finish in the top 5 of the league.
I think there's some people out there that are very disappointed in you right now.
That's fine. But again, I still think they're a tournament team. I don't think they finish in the top 5, which would probably be disappointing for this team.
You might be disappointed in me right now.
Yeah.
ACC disappointing team of the year, Virginia.
Oh, how dare.
I don't think anyone is appropriately judging how tough that coaching change is. I think it's tough. I think it messes with your mind. And even like when I played in college football, when we played in college sports, I think you almost commit to the coach as much as you commit to the school because they're the ones recruiting you. Obviously, you want to make sure they have like your major and stuff, but the coach plays a large part of it. Even more so with the transfer portal because you'd think, if coach leaves, I can hit the portal and go somewhere else. But with the timing of it, you really couldn't. I think it's a really tough situation for them, and I think it could be a while till they settle in. ACC Transfer of the Year. We're trying to get all of our predictions in before the games start. ACC Transfer of the Year. Who do you have?
Cade Tyson, North Carolina. I think that guy's going to benefit. I mean, when you shoot 46% from 3, that's the same 3-point line no matter where you're playing in the country. You can still shoot even in the ACC, and I think because R.J. Davis and Elliot Cadeau are going to draw so much attention, that guy's going to be open. He's going to be like this year's Cormac Ryan. That's what he's going to be. He's going to be this year's Cormac Ryan. He
is a shooter. 46% from 3 last year is bananas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm contradicting everybody.
Okay.
My transfer of the year is from Virginia. So the team will disappoint, but I think TJ Power has a very, very good year. He was a lights-out shooter for Duke. Like, that's what he brought to the table. That's what he was as a prospect. Kind of a liability on defense. UVA can kind of, I don't want to say hide him, but that pack line you can work as a unit and maybe don't have to have the unbelievable foot speed that you need to guard man-to-man in the ACC. So I think he'll be able to be on the floor more, and then he's going to knock down jumpers. And that goes well. Knocking down jumpers and like building hype kind of goes together. Probably why you picked Cade Tyson.
Yeah.
ACC Freshman of the Year. Who do you got?
Cooper Flagg. Need I say more?
Yep. And I literally didn't write anything else down in my notes.
That's all you need to say.
ACC Coach of the Year. Who do you have?
This one's a little bit tougher one for me.
I struggled with this.
Damon Stoudemire.
Oh, interesting.
Damon Stoudemire. Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech finishes in the top 7 of the league. I think they're actually 7th right behind NC State is where they finish. But Damon Stoudemire, Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech actually finds their way into the tournament.
That would be awesome for my prediction of surprise team of the year. My coach of the year is John Scheyer.
Okay.
I think UNC and Duke are going to be head and shoulders above everybody. And Hubert Davis won it last year, which makes it more like when you win an award, a lot of times to win it back-to-back, you have to go above and beyond everything you did the year before. And I just think that's going to be like the expectations are tougher. John Scheyer's never won the award. I think he breaks the seal on it, and I think he gets the ACC Coach of the Year.
Okay.
ACC Player of the Year. Who do you have?
R.J. Davis. It's hard to pick against the guy that won it last year. R.J. Davis.
Now, I also have R.J. Davis, but I feel like after that whole speech I just made about Hubert Davis and how when you win something back-to-back, it's tough because everybody's judging you off of last year, which was good enough to win ACC Player of the Year. I think RJ Davis's stats are going to be bananas.
Yeah.
I think particularly early in the year, as Ian Jackson and Drake Powell and a few of the young guys get their feet wet, they're going to look to RJ Davis and say, carry a lot of this offensive burden for us. And what they're going to learn isn't, oh, we have to get Drake Powell and Ian Jackson up to speed so we can take this off of RJ Davis's plate. What they're going to learn is, oh, RJ Davis can handle that.
Yeah.
So keep doing it. And it's going to be, you can call this a bold prediction or whatever, like an old school, like Adam Morrison at Gonzaga senior year, where it's like he was good, and then the volume just shoots through the roof. I think he's going to have a very, very big year. So the stats are going to be the main argument that get him to ACC Player of the Year. Whether UNC ends up as the best team is still up for grabs, but I think his stats are going to be pretty overwhelming in what I call the baseball card stats, right? Like home runs, RBIs, average, like points, 3-point attempts, and like assists. Like he's just going to be through the roof. So RJ Davis, ACC Player of the Year. ACC regular season champs. Who are you going with?
Duke. I'm going Duke as the ACC regular season champs. I think over the course of the season, over the course of regular season, just their size and their length are just going to be problems on a nightly basis consistently for teams around the league. So I'm going to go Duke as the ACC regular season champs.
I'm going UNC.
Okay.
I think they're a hint more proven. I think when they're figuring it out, they can lean on RJ Davis for all the reasons I said earlier. They'll have the best record regular season in the league. And I think they'll be ahead by 2 or 3 games on the field at the midway point, and then maybe win by 1 or 2. I think the gap closes, but they're good. Like just look at their roster. They're outside of the big men, which I don't see a ton of super dominant offensive big men in the ACC. Raynaud from Stanford, maybe if Efton Reed has a really good day at Wake. But there is no one to really take advantage of what I consider one of their biggest deficiencies. If they'd faced Kansas or something with Hunter Dickinson, very, very different. But ACC regular season champs, I'm going UNC.
Okay.
And now the big question.
Yeah.
ACC Tournament champs. Who is going to cut down the nets at the ACC Tournament? Dennis Cox, your choice.
North Carolina.
I promise you didn't plan this, but you'll see what I mean. Go ahead.
You're probably going to go Duke, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to go North Carolina for this reason. What generally wins in the postseason in college basketball? Guards. What does UNC have a plethora of and depth at? Guards. The tempo in which they play over the course of a tournament, which I'm assuming they're going to get a bye till Thursday, which they're going to be a top 4 seed. I think they're actually going to be the number 2 seed. But I think the tempo in which they are playing on the third day with the depth that they have is going to wear down other teams. And I think also when they play, my guess is probably Duke in that championship game. Duke hasn't been there yet.
Yep.
That's the thing. In a tournament style, Duke hasn't been there yet. John Scheyer has, but those players haven't had success in the ACC tournament. So, yeah, I'm going to go UNC just because of that.
I'm going Duke, and I want to remind myself of this throughout the season. I think they might be a 3 or a 4 seed. I think
in the NCAA tournament?
No, in the ACC tournament.
Oh, the ACC tournament. Okay.
I think they might start 4-2, 3-3 in their overall. This is pre-ACC because of how tough their non-conference schedule is, and then might start slow in the ACC because of the way their schedule is. But they're like it's the battle-tested thing. By the end of the season, what starts this year as a 9-10 man rotation will be down to a 6-7 man rotation. They'll have their roles honed in a little bit better. And some of the freshmen will be playing like sophomores, and I think they'll be playing their best basketball by the time the ACC tournament rolls around. The reason why I say I want to remind myself of that is if they start like 6-3 or something in the ACC, I don't want to go like, oh no, all the hype is wrong. I want to be like, no, I predicted this. They're so much. They only have 2 returning players from last year. You might as well have none because it's not like those guys are like, oh, we played with each other, so now like they didn't play with any of their teammates either. And Caleb Foster was hurt for a bunch of last year, so it's really just Tyrese Proctor as far as postseason experience. I think Duke wins the ACC tournament. I think UNC wins the ACC regular season, and I think they're 2 of the top 7 teams in the country heading into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think Duke wins it. This is my order for top 8 in the conference to finish regular season. Duke, Carolina, Pitt, Wake, Virginia, NC State, Georgia Tech, Clemson. That's my top 8.
I didn't put together a top 8, and I don't want to do it off the top of my head.
That's totally fine.
Just because I feel like I'd forget somebody, and then the receipts would be out there. And
I think 7 of those teams make it to the NCAA tournament. I think Clemson's probably
the
first
7.
one out.
They've had 5 each of the last 2 years.
I think they get 7.
I would love that with a fiery passion.